We need to have a talk. Accidental racism. Is that a thing? I think we need to pull up some coffee or tea if that's what you prefer. No drama joke intended. We just need to chat it out for a minute. If you have followed me on Instagram or Twitter for the last couple weeks, you'll know that I had been mulling over the concept of accidental racism. And if that's real, or if there's another word for it and I'm just missing it. Or is it just blatant racism? Is it insensitivity? Where do those lines lie? Now, surprise, surprise, this all backs up to the conversation of inclusivity when it comes to cosmetics with Tarte. I even made a video not actually about that, but about Tarte and another controversy that I think I might be the only person who finds controversial. I'll throw that video up in the cards. It has to do with intellectual property rights and of companies like Tarte, MAC, Urban Decay. But I did spend the first couple minutes of that video discussing the Tarte Foundation faux pas. Now, for me, the biggest gaffe, it was their reply. They don't need to put out dark shades until summer when people get darker. That for me is reason to question whether or not to continue supporting Tarte. And I really made someone angry. Someone who had been subscribed to me and no longer is, but I don't know who they are. So I'm not even sure who this is. I don't know if this is someone who has only known me online for the last couple months. I don't know if this is a family member. She was very upset that I picked on Tarte. Okay, here's the part where accidental racism comes in. And I don't know about you, but I need a swig of coffee for this. So she sent her comment akin to, yes, we're all giving Fenty credit for being inclusive to everyone, except for those of us who have dry skin. But I guess we don't matter, only race really matters. And all I could think is, did you just put the struggles of having dry skin on the same course of being judged by strangers because your skin is too dark? And really, reading the comment, I don't think the person has a problem with black people. Again, I don't even know who left the comment, so I can't even discuss this with them to find out. So if they're not actually racist, then somewhere in their head they actually think that having dry skin is being discriminated against. And all I could think is how misguided and accidentally racist that is. Is this a thing? Is it blatant racism? Is it negligence? Is it insensitivity? What is it? What would make someone put those two things on the same level? I can honestly say I have dry skin. I have my entire life. Like, it gets flaky and crusty. Just because some foundation lines don't cater to me in no way makes me feel discriminated against. I also have never been out in public and had a single person ever make a comment directed at me because I have dry skin. But when I was in high school, I used to get extraordinarily tan, where I did get asked regularly during the height of summer if I was mixed, if I were Jamaican, if I were Jewish. I actually got that one frequently. Apparently, I had braces, a big nose, tan skin, and wore Levi's, and therefore was Jewish. So in other words, I've never had comments thrown at me for having dry skin, but I've had many strangers comment at me about race when I have darker skin. I've been asked a few times what I am, and I never know how to answer that. And those are just things that I experienced during the brief couple weeks of every summer. I can only imagine living with darker skin year round, all the time. Accidental racism. Why did the beauty gurus come down on Tarte? I've actually seen a couple major beauty gurus, ones I have never mentioned before on my channel, throw them in their project pans, say they're getting rid of their products, they're not going to use them anymore. Meanwhile, for instance, one of these gurus, her favorite foundation and her favorite concealer are from It Cosmetics and from Jouer Cosmetics, who frankly don't have any better ranges. And then I've been thinking about things like one of the last videos I filmed, I mentioned a number of movies that I recommend watching for Valentine's Day. And not a single one of them feature a black cast, an Asian cast, a Hispanic cast. They're all white, 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 and white. Now, there's nothing wrong with the fact that I watch a lot of movies that happen to feature white people, but why? Why? There are plenty of movies that I like that do feature people of color. So how did that not make my list? Like somewhere in my head. Is it because I happen to identify more with the white people and I don't even think about that? Speaking of movies, have you watched the movie Crash? I know it is not recent, but it will make you question your interactions with the world for the rest of your life. But I'm also thinking about times in my life that I've been accidentally racist. And it truly was an accident. There was no harm meant whatsoever, and I did not realize how insensitive it was. For instance, in college, my at the time boyfriend, now husband, and I threw a Halloween party. And it was awesome. It was a fun party. I dressed up in not even like good form. I made my own costume and I was a geisha. But as a little girl, I had seen the imagery of geishas and thought how beautiful they were and how neat they were. So when it was time for the Halloween party, I had no doubt I would make my own kimono, I would paint my face, I would put my hair in a bun, done. It did not occur to me until 10 years after that that was insensitive, that that was racist, that I have taken someone's life, their history, their family culture, their heritage, and turned it into a costume. And then this year, I was watching the show Switched at Birth. Great show, by the way. In the final season, there's an episode where Mingo, one of the characters, goes to a Halloween party dressed, I believe, as Lil Wayne. He went as Lil Wayne because he loves Lil Wayne. And it's like he was in blackface. But he wasn't trying to be in blackface. He literally just picked a person to be for Halloween who he liked and respected. It didn't turn out so good though. It was not received well at all, and it turned into a standoff on their campus. Years ago for Halloween, I dressed up as Cyndi Lauper. Not because I was making fun of her. I wasn't. I actually really admire her and like her. People dressed up as Monica Lewinsky, always dressed up as presidents. So where does the line lie? Is it that we specifically can't dress up as people from other races? Do we need to stay in our lane in that sense of I can dress up as another person so long as they are someone from my race? And I'm asking that as a sincere question. I genuinely don't know where that line lies for sure or why exactly it lies there. And that is in part because I have not had a family genealogy and history of having my culture mocked. Blackface is something that has not been, there's like no equivalent for blackface that's been done to me and my family. And if that is why that Mingo couldn't dress up as Lil Wayne, I can get that. But white privilege, I know that that is something that people who are racist, accidentally racist, or just insensitive hate to hear because we don't want to have to face that that is real. But do you know what white privilege is? During that same Halloween party that I dressed up as a geisha, she came to the party. She at the time was a security officer at a local prison, and she had to come to the party late, and she just came straight from work. We lived on the second floor, and you actually had to come up the stairs onto our balcony to enter our apartment. And that's where most of the people were because that's where the keg was. And I remember one of my friends, Ben, coming to let me know that my girlfriend had gotten there, and he took her straight to me. And I could tell she was flustered, a little caught off guard, which isn't really like her anyhow. He said that as soon as she got to the top of the stairs, someone said to him, "The police are here," and everyone turned around and looked at her because she was in her work clothing. And he went over and said, "Well, let me handle this." Because if you knew Ben, that's how he was. He wanted to be the guy who handled the police. He thought it was hilarious. Everybody did, because everyone went quiet that the police had arrived and were questioning the party goers. She then told me it was really scary because she got to the top of the stairs and everyone went silent and stared at her. And one of her first thoughts was, is it because I'm black? That would have never occurred to me that that would occur to her. But there are reasons that occurred to her. Things have already happened to her in her life that made her feel like that's why she was being stared at. And possibly because she got to the top of the stairs and realized there are 30 people standing there and they're all white. I've seen so many instances of white privilege play out since then. So many. But that was the first. And regarding makeup, white privilege is hearing that a foundation line is coming out and not having to wonder at all if you're going to get to try it Or if it's me once again, an entire makeup company telling people that your skin color doesn't matter enough for them to make a shade for you. I'm to a point in my life where I see that these are problems, undeniable problems. I also see there are people who continue to deny that they are problems. I hear white people say things like, I don't see color, but you do. And to do right by people, you have to. And Jackie Ina made one of the best videos on that called something about being colorblind or I don't see color. And I will link to that below. These are conversations we need to have. These are things we need to look at. There was another great video by somebody I just subscribed to and I don't even know her name. I will have to. If you want to support people of color, buy from companies that are owned and operated by people of color. That's how you support them. Like Colored Rain or Amon. There are other options. We don't have to buy Tarte. We can drag them, but we also need to like drag Jouet and it and other perpetrators of accidental racism. So what do you think about accidental racism? Is this a thing? Or is throwing the word accidental in front of it a way of negating it and dismissing it? And how long can you be accidentally racist before you are willingly racist and therefore just racist? Where are the lines between insensitivity and racism? As a white woman, I don't know for sure. And I'm not trying to school anyone. I just want to help continue the conversation so that we can work through this for the sake of each other, for the sake of our children, for the sake of this country, because we are at war and we don't need to be. And if you are white and you in any way think that this video is off base and stupid, you probably really need to watch it again. We need to understand just because we haven't experienced certain things doesn't mean that those things don't happen. And in fact, that they happen every single day. If you don't think inclusion matters and you don't think representation matters, it's because you've always been included and because you've always been represented. On that note, I will stop babbling about this concept, but I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments. But I do want to say in the conversation, I will not tolerate disrespect. I will not leave comments that are intolerant. And if you are a white person, you are going to need to take a back seat to listen to and allow the conversation and comments from people of color, because they're the only ones we can learn from. God bless you. Know that I love you and that I hope to see you again soon in a new video. You could click on my face right here and go ahead and subscribe. Join the sparkle making fam and we will figure out how to make sparkle together as we continue to get older and figure out what the best really is yet to come, right? I can't be alone in hoping this. I can't be alone in looking for that.